We're entering a new era of economic nationalism, where countries are increasingly looking inward, bringing manufacturing back home, and trying to reduce their dependence on foreign supply chains. But why is this happening now, and what does it mean for the global economy? Hey everyone, and welcome back to Global Insights, where we explore pressing issues in global politics and economics. I'm Noah Zerbe. I'm a professor of political science at California State Polytechnic University Humboldt, and today we're going to explore a topic that's reshaping global trade and international relations: de-risking and reshoring. To start with, let's define de-risking and reshoring. De-risking refers to the process whereby companies or governments reduce their exposure to foreign economic or geopolitical risks. Think about how companies reacted after the COVID-19 pandemic or the Russia-Ukraine conflict. They started looking for ways to minimize the risk of disruptions in global supply chains. This can be accomplished through several strategies: diversifying supply chains to reduce reliance on any single country, developing alternative sources for resources and components in friendly countries, a process sometimes referred to as friendshoring, or strengthening domestic production capabilities in critical sectors. This third strategy is often referred to as reshoring. Reshoring involves bringing manufacturing operations back to a company's home base or home country. Over the past few decades, many firms have outsourced production to places like Mexico, China, or Southeast Asia to benefit from lower labor costs. But now that trend is reversing. More and more governments and companies are prioritizing domestic production, relocating manufacturing and other business processes back domestically. Both friendshoring and reshoring can be driven by a desire to secure supply chains for critical goods, concerns over intellectual property protections, and, especially in recent years, political pressures to create jobs domestically, especially high-paying manufacturing jobs, a platform increasingly adopted in the United States by Republicans and Democrats alike. And it's tied to the idea of economic nationalism, a political movement emphasizing national control over the economy and reducing reliance on other countries. Historically, this concept draws inspiration from mercantilist principles, under which states aim to maximize exports and minimize imports to strengthen national power. Today, it's evolving to address modern challenges like global supply chain disruptions. The shift towards de-risking and reshoring has significant implications. It results in increasing fragmentation of the global economy into competing blocks, fuels higher prices for consumers due to less efficient production, and may create challenges for developing countries that are relying on export-led growth strategies. However, it's important to note that complete decoupling is unlikely and probably undesirable for most economies. Instead, I think what we're seeing is a recalibration of global economic relationships. To better understand this shift, we need to turn to a few concepts from international relations and political economy, and we can start with realism. In international relations, realism posits that states act primarily in their own national interest, seeking power and security above all else. From a realist perspective, de-risking and reshoring can be seen as strategies to maintain national security. Dependence on foreign countries for critical goods like semiconductors or energy makes states vulnerable to supply chain disruptions or coercion by other powers. The realist logic here is simple. By reshoring production, states are reducing vulnerabilities. A good example of this is the recent decision by the U.S. government to implement measures to incentivize reshoring, particularly in the semiconductor industry, following tensions with China. Why? Because microchips are essential for everything from smartphones to military equipment. By reshoring, the United States is hoping to avoid becoming too reliant on a geopolitical competitor for such a vital technology. But this almost always comes at a cost of higher prices for consumers. And if your smartphone was 20% more expensive but made locally, would you consider it a fair trade-off for economic security? And what about globalization? For decades, the global economy has been moving towards more integration, more interdependence. This has been the backbone of international trade, underpinned by liberal theories of international relations. Liberalism in international relations argues that cooperation between states leads to mutual benefits. Free trade agreements, global institutions like the World Trade Organization, and multilateral supply chains are all based on this principle. The idea is that countries are economically and politically stronger when they work together, specialize, and trade freely. So does de-risking and reshoring mean that globalization is coming to an end? Not quite. What we're seeing instead is what some scholars refer to as selective deglobalization. While countries and companies are pulling back in some areas, most notably in critical high-tech industries, they're not abandoning global trade altogether. Instead, they're focusing on diversifying supply chains and making sure that no single country, particularly no geopolitical rival, can exert too much influence over their economy. And this brings us to our third key concept, that of economic nationalism. Economic nationalism is the idea that states should play a central role in shaping the economy in order to serve the national interests. Historically, this meant protecting domestic industries from foreign competition and ensuring that strategic industries remained under national control. In today's world, economic nationalism is playing out in sectors like energy, technology, and healthcare. Take the European Union, for example. In response to the pandemic and to geopolitical tensions, the European Union has been working to strengthen its autonomy in producing pharmaceuticals and medical supplies. Similarly, China's dual circulation policy emphasizes both domestic production and self-reliance in strategic industries, reducing its dependence on foreign markets. And the United States' restriction on semiconductor exports to China and subsidies to promote domestic semiconductor manufacturing under the CHIPS Act is another good example. This isn't just about economics, it's also about power. When countries control critical industries, they have more geopolitical leverage. De-risking and reshoring aren't just economic policies, they're also strategies to enhance national security and sovereignty. But there are risks to this trend. Economic nationalism can lead to protectionism, where countries impose tariffs, subsidies, or other barriers to foreign goods and services. And when one country starts imposing trade barriers, other countries often follow, leading to a spiral of retaliation and a less open global economy. We've seen these dynamics play out before. During the 1930s, the world saw a surge in protectionist policies, most notably through the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in the United States, which arguably exacerbated the Great Depression and contributed to a collapse in global trade. So what's next? De-risking and reshoring are likely to remain prominent as countries seek to navigate an increasingly uncertain geopolitical landscape. But it's important to strike a balance. While reducing dependence on foreign supply chains can enhance national security, we must also be wary of slipping into full-blown protectionism. The challenge for policymakers is to manage these risks without undermining the benefits of global trade. How, in other words, can we enhance economic resilience without sacrificing the benefits of global trade? Can we build more robust supply chains while maintaining economic efficiency? And what role should governments play in shaping these new economic arrangements? The era of unquestioned economic globalization appears to be over. As nations prioritize economic security and resilience, we're entering a new phase of more managed interdependence. And understanding these shifts is crucial for navigating the complex landscape of 21st century international relations and global economics. But what do you think? Will reshoring and de-risking lead to higher prices, or will they strengthen national economies in the long run? Do you think the benefits of de-risking outweigh the potential costs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's it for today's episode of Global Insights. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. And if you have any suggestions for future explainer topics, I'd welcome those as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified as I release new episodes. And thanks for watching. Bye.